lot of people wonder why General Motors still continues to have two truck brands. You've got the Chevy Silverado, and then you've got this, the GMC Sierra. Now there's an interesting reason for that. If you combine Silverado and Sierra sales, GM actually sells more trucks than anybody, even more than the mighty Ford F-150. Now this may be the fourth best selling full-size truck in the market, below the Silverado, Ram, and F-150, but I've always thought that the GMCs looked better than the Chevys, and GMC is targeting a more affluent buyer. They still make a work truck as well, but this Denali trim is aimed at a luxury audience, so I'm gonna show you what the 2020 GMC Denali Carbon Pro Edition is all about. All right, so let's start off with the exterior of the Sierra, where this is what I really love about the GMC trucks. GMC stuck with their outgoing design from like the last generation GMC, whereas Silverado, oh my God, they went with that crazy ugly face. I think this is just a way more attractive truck, especially in the high trim Denali. You get this big chrome grille. Now, I'm usually not a fan of chrome, but for whatever reason, I think GMC just does it so well and so tastefully here. We have this metallic white tint coat. It's like $1,000 paint job, and it's a gorgeous white, don't get me wrong, but I would just never pay $1,000 for white. I think there are better colors on this truck the way it sits. Now the chrome is interesting. This has always been a Denali feature, but we have the Carbon Pro Edition. You can see we get a Carbon Pro 6.2 liter badge here, which means we get 22-inch black wheels. Now, I'm not a huge fan of how the black doesn't match the chrome. I kind of wish GMC would have went one with the other. Now, they do have the AT4, which is a luxury off-roading trim that gets black, so I understand that why they didn't go with black on the grille, but what I think they should do is, instead of black, offer a shadow chrome and make the grille shadow chrome. That would just be really cool and a nice touch for the Carbon Pro Edition. But separately, these wheels look great. They're covered by these plastic wheel arches, but I did look at the configurator. You can get these in body color, which is what I would do if I were buying this truck. You have your chrome Denali badge denoting that you've spent the most money on your GMC truck. And also we have the optional power running boards. So when I open up a door, you're gonna see the power running board is gonna deploy. When I shut it, it's gonna go ahead and tuck away because I don't need it anymore. Now, coming around the back, we've got our normal bed back here with our bed steps here. Now, I'm going to show you this bed a lot more in depth later on. Because we have the Carbon Pro Edition, we have some very special features back here, but that will take place later in the video. All right, so now that we've taken a brief look at the exterior of the Sierra Denali, let's hop inside. Remember, the Denali is the most luxurious version of the Sierra. This is the one that you're gonna get when you're doing long distance driving. You wanna kind of arrive to the job site as the most premium truck. So the Denali trim, I'm gonna say, doesn't look different enough to me when you're just looking at it. There's not too much to distinguish this even from a Silverado. You've still got this 8-inch screen. It doesn't look that big. It's not like super small, but like, I've been in a Ram and I just got out of a Nissan Titan last week and the screens just look bigger. I'm really hoping that GMC and Chevy do an emergency refresh to put a bigger screen on this. I really think that both the Sierra and the Silverado are going to get the interior that is currently found in the recently revealed Yukon and Tahoe, because those look a lot more premium than this truck does. You've got a lot of plasticky buttons around here, plastic surfaces that just make the cabin feel a little bit cheaper than a $71,000 truck as optioned should feel. Now, that being said, we do have some nice options here. We've got heated and ventilated seats. GM is one of the few companies that lets you do heating on your back and tush, or just your back. Kind of interesting there. We have a ton of controls here, no blank buttons to speak of here on the Denali trim. And what I will say is
is, even though this interior doesn't look quite as nice as the Ram or the top F-150s, when you start touching stuff, you realize, oh, it is actually quite nice. Now, that doesn't come alive in a video or in a picture, but I'm telling you, like all of the surfaces, the door cards, the entire dashboard is like a nice leather. That does feel really premium. It does feel pretty premium in here, like more than the last Silverado that I drove. But again, I think they can do some improvements to make this interior feel a little bit more premium. Now, that being said, we still have our column shifter. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it into reverse. There we go. And it's gonna trigger the excellent camera systems. Now, I've seen this done a little bit better on GM vehicles recently because of the bigger screen, but this camera system is still one of the best in the business. You get trajectory lines, you have a 360-degree camera, you have tons of different angles, so I can do a zoom top down of just over the bed. I can kind of do like a surround camera from the front. I can see the sides, so I can make sure I don't curb a wheel. I have different trailering views. Now, those aren't active because I don't actually have a trailer back there, but basically what this system will allow you to do is make it look like the trailer behind you is invisible, so you can kind of see past it. That's a really cool feature as well. You can also see what's in your bed. Just so many camera views. This is probably the best camera system you're gonna find on a truck. Now, down here, we've got plenty of charging. Most trucks are like this as well. We've got our household outlet, our normal car outlet, a USB, a USB-C. I also have a wireless charging pad here. Plenty of space because, of course, column shifter frees up plenty of space here. Got another storage nook here, an absolutely massive center console here with another USB, another USB-C, and tons of space in here, and a storage space up above the dash here. So just plenty of storage space here. You do have some drive modes you can play around with. We have a towing and hauling mode that you can shut on and off. You also have normal, sport, and off-road modes. I don't think people are going to be taking their Denali with 22-inch rims off-road too often. And the other thing that I absolutely love about the cabin of a lot of GM vehicles lately is the rear view camera mirror system. So you just flip this switch and the rear view camera, rear view mirror becomes a camera, giving you a better view on the outside. That's great when you're trying to trailer. That'll give you a better view out of the back. The one thing this truck does not have, though, is a panoramic roof. We just have a regular sunroof on this truck. Now, you can get the Sierra in a number of cab configurations. There's the regular cab, there's a double cab, or there's this, the crew cab, which is the biggest one. Now, in this one, you're gonna get 43.4 inches of rear legroom, which is humongous. Just look at this. I can sprawl out my feet, I can cross my legs. This is great amount of room for a pickup truck. Now, these seats don't slide and recline like they do in the Ram, but I think that GM has done a very nice job of reclining them just a little bit so I don't feel bolt upright like I do in a lot of other pickup truck seats. And the seats themselves are very soft back here, which is interesting because they're actually a little bit firm up front. Now, these seats are heated, but you can't get ventilation like you can on the Ram. But what I do have is air vents. I have a USB-C and a USB and a normal Carvel outlet here. I've got two cup holders here up front. And if I pull down this center armrest, I have more cup holders here in the middle. So that's great. I can charge up all of my devices back here. If I need additional storage, I can flip up the seats here. I have storage underneath here that can be hidden from view when you put down the seats. And it's also a very flat load floor here, aside from this little bump, so you can put big items here when you fold both of these seats up. And GMC has also incorporated some extra storage here into the seat rest. You just kind of pull on this cushion and you have a little bit more hidden space for smaller items here behind the seat. So GM also offers a number of bed configurations, but here on the crew cab, you're only going to be able to choose from two. You can either get this, which is the short bed. It's about 5 foot 8 inches, or you can get the standard bed, which is about 6 foot 5 inches. So that one offers about 71 cubic feet of space. This one is down at about 69 cubic feet of space, but GM says that their bed is really high and really wide, so it offers a ton of space on the inside of the bed, making it very usable. Now, because we have the Carbon Pro edition, which is about a $4,000 package on its own, we have GMC's MultiPro tailgate. Now, you cannot get this on a Silverado. This is a GMC exclusive feature. It means this tailgate can open
open in a number of different ways. So I have two buttons here. This upper one is going to lower this lower portion of the upper portion of the tailgate. So now I can use this as a table. I can put my laptop here. I kind of wish it had cup holders too, because I could just chill here with my buddy. That would be pretty useful, but I do like the height of this table. It makes it very useful for working. Now, if I wanted to have something long extending out of my bed, now I can flip up this bit and now it acts as kind of like a bump stop. This is position number 2. So I can have slightly longer items in case I didn't get the long bed. Now, I can put all of this back up to a normal tailgate. Now, if I push the lower button, it's gonna drop like a normal tailgate. Now, I can also do that from the key fob or from a button on the interior. This is position number 3, normal tailgate, nothing too special about that. But let's just say I have 2 dirt bikes in here and I don't want them to fall off the back. What I can do is I can put this up. Now I have a bed stop here, so I can have my 2 dirt bikes here and not have to worry about them falling out. So now I can go back. That was position 4. Now I can go into position 5. So if I click the upper button, it's a little hard to find once it's down, but now I can get into position number 5. So now I have a little bit easier access into the bed. See, I cut out a lot of it here. It makes it easier to get my items out from here. And if I pull this down one more time, now I have a really nice step. And if you'll notice, I have this kicker speaker system here in the bed. This is about I think it's $800 option separately. It's really cool. It's really loud. This is going to make you the coolest guy at your tailgate party if sports ever resume after this COVID-19 pandemic. But aside from the speaker, I've tested it out. It's really loud. This step is really useful. It comes with a handle here. So if I just flip this out, I can now grab this handle and I can step up into the bed. And the Carbon Pro Edition, aside from the tailgate, has something even more special. This bed is actually made from carbon composite material, meaning it is incredibly strong. It is incredibly moldable, which means GM was able to make it a little bit wider here. It's extremely durable and extremely flexible because of the way that GMC made this. It's not exactly carbon fiber. It is very easily repairable. I know that's going to be a big issue for some GMC people, but theoretically you shouldn't need to repair it because GMC says that they took a baseball bat to this as hard as they could, and guess what broke? Not the bed, the baseball bat. And to do a similar demonstration, I've borrowed a 25-pound dumbbell, and what I'm gonna do is nothing. Nothing. That was absolutely nothing. I know I could probably drop something much heavier in there and it would be just fine, but I'm telling you, man, this is awesome. And what's interesting about the Carbon Pro tailgate is you don't need a bed liner for it. This is interesting. This is just the surface. You do not need to get a bed liner for this truck. I know that's going to weird out some people who are used to always having a bed liner in their truck, but it's pretty cool. And I think for about $4,000 separately, now we have this as part of a Denali Ultimate package that's about $9,000 together, but I think $4,000 just on its own is probably worth it for the Carbon Edition because you're going to be spending a couple grand on getting your bed done with a liner anyway. And what's interesting is even though we have this fancy tailgate, GMC has still decided to include the side bed step so you can kind of hop up here quickly if you don't want to fiddle with all of this craziness. And if all of this craziness just doesn't seem like you and you just want a simple truck, you can get a GMC Denali without this crazy tailgate.
All right, so now that we've checked out all of the details of the 2020 GMC Sierra 1500, let's get it out on the road. Now, GMC offers a ton of engines that you can get in this truck. You can get a 4.3 liter gas V6, you can get a new 2.7 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That's interesting, a 4-cylinder in a truck. You can get the 5.3 liter gas V8, which I've driven. That's a very nice little V8, cylinder deactivation, good little V8 right there. You can now get a 3 liter inline 6 turbo diesel. That's interesting. That actually costs the same as the engine that I have, which is the 6.2 liter V8 gas engine. This is the big boy of the range. It's the most powerful one you can get. Now you can only get this with 4x4 mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. This is the gearbox that GM co-developed with Ford. It is probably the best transmission you're going to get in a truck. It's so smooth. It shifts so quickly. And with this engine, it is just such a great pairing. It's like rice and Montana, man. It's just such a good pairing. I don't know which is better, the engine or the transmission. Let's go for some acceleration here. Plenty of grunt. Shifts quickly, smoothly. You almost don't even feel it shift because of how many ratios there are. Such a good transmission, and the engine itself is the class leading V8 horsepower in this segment with 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. Those are great numbers. It helps make this truck feel super quick. You're never gonna feel encumbered. Like merging on the highway in this truck is super easy, super smooth. And when you're not on it, the V8 is incredibly quiet and refined. It has very little vibration. GM, I mean, it's General Motors after all. They should be good at doing motors, and they absolutely are. Your fuel economy is not even that bad either. You're gonna get about 15 mpg in the city, 20 mpg on the highway, and 17 combined. That's with a 4x4 truck, which again, you can only get with the 6.2, or you can only get the 6.2 with 4x4 is what I mean. Now, the payload capacity and towing capacities are pretty good on the Sierra as a whole. The max payload capacity is a little over 2,200 pounds. This Denali one that I have actually has a little more because I have that Carbon Pro bed that I showed you. Because that's lighter, it's going to increase payload capacity. Now, the max towing capacity of a Sierra 1500 is 12,100 pounds. According to the GMC configurator, now I know I've been off on these numbers a few times, but this is according to the GMC configurator. I went on and spec'd this exact truck as you see it equipped. You should be able to tow 8,800 pounds, which I think is a reasonable amount. I think that's going to get you most of the towing requirements that you're ever going to need. And as I showed you, the towing cameras on this truck are absolutely the best. They're better than I've seen in any other truck. So in terms of towing, I think you're going to be really happy with the GMC Sierra 1500. Now, we've come to a stop here, and I want to mention that this truck does have stop start. Now, unlike the Ram 1500, you can't get this truck as a mild hybrid with any electric, like hybrid assist. But right now we're stopped and I'm about to start moving again. It just fired up this engine, and I swear to you, I did not feel it. This is a 6.2 liter V8 with 420 horsepower. I did not feel it fire up. That's how smooth this is. So I want to commend GM here for a stop-start system that you can't even feel activate or deactivate. That's how smooth this engine is. I can't believe how great they've been able to do that without a mild hybrid system. I'm just so impressed with this drivetrain. Now, in terms of how the truck drives, I would say, even though this is the Denali trim, this is like the most luxurious GMC truck, it doesn't ride as well as that Ram 1500. It's just not going to. That Ram's air suspension is just on another level of comfort, giving you a very car-like ride. So if you want the most comfortable truck, it's still going to be the Ram. That being said, it's not uncomfortable in here. It's still very quiet in here. When I take this truck on the highway, not a lot of road noise. The adaptive cruise control works great. Lane keep assist, all of those safety features as part of the Denali Ultimate trim that's kind of comboed in with the Carbon Pro edition makes this truck an absolute joy over long distances. Although I think I mentioned the seats, again, not as comfortable as the Ram. They do have heating and ventilation. They don't have massage like an F-150 you'll get, but they are just a little bit stiff. Now, the steering is pretty accurate for a truck. You know, no truck is going to wow you in this regard, although the Ram's steering does feel a little bit more car-like, whereas this feels a little more truck-like to me. I think that you're going to be very happy with the way that the GMC Sierra drives, especially if you get this engine, the 6.2 liter gas engine. It's only about a $2,000 upgrade over the 5.3 liter V8 Denali, so I think you'd be silly not to at least try this 6.2 liter V8. I'd like to try the diesel. I haven't driven that yet, but that seems like an interesting option for the same amount of money. But I think this new 6.2 liter V8 has become my favorite engine option in the full-size segment.
So that was the 2020 GMC Sierra Denali Carbon Pro Edition. Now, you can obviously get a very basic GMC Sierra, but this Denali trim is going to start at about $58,000. The one you see here with the Carbon Pro Edition, this $1,000 white paint job, is about $71,000. Now, that is a ton of money for a truck. These are pretty much pure profit for the truck makers right now, but I think this truck does a really nice job. It's got a strong powertrain, it's got very strong technology, and I think it looks really good as well. That MultiPro tailgate and the carbon fiber bed is just really cool. So there are a lot of interesting reasons why you'd want to choose a GMC over one of the other competitors. Now, the one weak point is that interior. They really need to step that up with an emergency refresh. I think it needs to borrow the interior from the Yukon, and that would otherwise make this truck pretty perfect. I still don't think it rides as well as the Ram 1500, but I think there is a ton to love about the GMC Sierra, and I would recommend it depending on what your truck buying needs are. We really hope you've enjoyed this review of the 2020 GMC Sierra Denali Carbon Pro Edition. For more information about this truck, be sure to click the link in the description below to take you over to carbuzz.com. And don't forget to leave us a like. That really helps on making future videos just like this one. Please subscribe too, that would be awesome. And hit the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.